Hello, good morning. It's coming up to 10:15 on Monday the 6th of March. It's the first day of stage 1 of the lockdown easing in the UK. To put that into perspective, it's the first day when all school children are going back. I'm out at Bath Eastern, right opposite Bannerdown and Foss Lane. I'm going to be exploring a little bit more the Fosseway today. A little bit of the backstory to today's ride. During the lockdown I started exploring much more locally, and on one of my rides I wanted to get onto Stewie Lane, which is a road that climbs steeply from the village of North End up to the top of Bannerdown above Bath. And as I was cutting through the Elmhurst estate, I suddenly realised Foss Lane, and even though I've lived in Bath all my life and I'm 61 years old now, it had never occurred to me that that was the original ascent or descent into Bath on the Fosseway. I'd always assumed the Romans had curved round to take the sting out the tail of the hill, both up and down, as the modern Bannerdown road does. I'm now on the other side of the road, so that is the exit from the Elmhurst estate. That's Coalpit Road. This is Foss Lane, the original Roman road out of Bath, and that is Bannerdown, the modern road out of Bath up to the Fosseway. So I'm going to head up here. The first part, I know from the last few roads, is very, very steep. I'm just a few hundred yards up Foss Lane. You can immediately see how much altitude I've gained. So it all started from when I wanted to get through that Elmhurst estate, and I realised Coalpit Lane was one way going the wrong way, and I realised I could come up here and cut through. And then it suddenly occurred to me, this is the original Fosseway out of Bath, and today I want to see just how steep it really is. And I could well have made a fatal mistake here by stopping, so it's going to be quite a struggle to get started from here. It's still very, very steep. I'm guessing about 1 in 5, 1 in 4. I'm now partway up the tarmac section of Foss Lane. It levels a little bit. In fact, that's exactly what the main road, Bannerdown, does. Very short and sharp at the bottom, then it levels out before it kicks again at the top. So I'm not too sure how much further I've got to go on tarmac. The great thing about Ride with GPS, as I was describing the other day on my last video, you can drag and drop the pegman onto the route to get a street view, and as I was saying before, as soon as you get to a track where the Google car hasn't been, it will ping up a dialog box saying no data available. So all I've done is drag and drop the pegman to that exact point when there's no longer any data, and this is what I've got. You can see that screen grab, that the road just suddenly sharply stops. Looks like there's a house on the left, and then it becomes a footpath. And then if I change the mapping format to satellite, you get a much better idea of what you're going to be encountering. I'm probably going to have to walk. I'm going to try and ride as much as possible, but it looks like it goes up through woods and then it becomes open. So here's another screen grab. As the tarmac road ended, you do get a very defined track up here, and the reason being is it comes up to a couple of houses. This is that street view. This is where it becomes a path. It's wider than the street view suggests, actually. As I sort of said in the last video, it gives you a rough idea. It's not a completely accurate way to gauge what to expect, but yeah, now the fun begins up through the trees. Within a couple of 100 yards on the footpath, you come to this sign. It's actually at the site of a fork in the track, so let's see where we're going. We are here. That one off the left would be going that way, I believe. I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible, stay as true to the Fosseway, so that's the one I want to do. I'm guessing it's that one up there. There's still houses up here, although it's the back gardens of houses. Well into the wooded section now, but as you can see, if I pan over to the left, we're still at the residential spot. I guess that's probably about halfway up Bannerdown. I'm just using my experience of riding up the main road. There's a sign here. It says no access for motor vehicles. No mechanically propelled vehicle of any description beyond this point. So that suggests cars can even get up this far. No overnight parking. Gosh, I think now it is going to get quite bumpy as we go through that gate. I've been able to ride most of this so far. There's a lot of tree roots coming up and quite big stones. When you hit those, you sometimes stall. I'm not a particularly competent mountain biker. My bike's not really that suited for either, but you can see this area is popular with mountain bikers. If you're a competent mountain biker and you've got the right equipment, I'd imagine this is perfectly rideable. Now, a few 100 yards on, we've definitely left the built-up area. It's countryside on my left. I've drifted off the Fosseway. I took at that sign what I thought was the more defined track. I was actually going by mountain bike tyre tracks, thinking it might be more rideable, so I should be more over that way, over to my left. I'm going to carry on riding up here, so I think shortly I'll be emerging onto the common, then it should be a bit easier to get back on course. I've now just emerged from the woods onto the common via that path. Now I know I'm off to the right where I should be, so I'm going to try and head over that way and see if I can get back on the Fosseway. Quite near the summit though, you can tell that's most of the climbing done. I just backtracked slightly across this bit of common. That's where I came out from the woods. And I should have been over on this track. I wasn't a million miles out, but I could see from my Garmin there was definitely a defined path up here. The trouble with my Garmin is when you move really slowly, you lose the track, the detail of where you're going. It reverts to an overview of the route, which is why it's sometimes easy to make mistakes at traffic lights. Anyway, I should be back on track now. Looking back over that way, you can tell this plateau drops down steeply, then rises, and I think in the far distance I can see the estate I rode through recently. That's Granville Road up there, the old MOD Ensley. I think that's what I'm looking at in the far distance. As you may be able to see by the track, I'm back en route. I'm up on the common. The clouds dispersed. The sun's broken through. It's actually really quite warm now. I may be getting into shorts for the first time this year shortly. Bob, one of my YouTube viewers who told me this was rideable and inspired me to have a go, did say you get some funny looks riding up there by the dog walkers, and I can confirm that. I'm just going to pass some over there. I've just seen a car pass on the main road, so Bannerdown's not that far away. I was over there heading towards the transmitter. My Garmin track sent me over here, and I'm at this gate now, and there's the main road. That's where the Fosseway emerged onto what is now the main road. So back that way it starts to curve down and use the contour of the hill. So the Fosseway really did come straight up here and then veer off to the left at an angle. I stand by what I said in the other video, in fact more so now. I just can't quite comprehend how 2,000 years ago Roman carts or even chariots would have got up that, because even the tarmac section with a triple chain set was hard. I had no idea what the road surface would have been like in Roman days, but nowhere near as good as we've got today. And even more so, how on earth did they stop going down? I just mind-boggling really. I did say I'd mention a bit of the mapping. I was going to try and get up the non-road section with the GPS route, just trying to do it through memory, look at the map and try and memorise and just use my nose. And then as I change the format of the map, you can have either the GPS maps or satellite view, and on the drop down menu there's something called OSM. I think that may stand for Ordnance Survey Maps. I don't know, I don't really care that much, to be honest, but it allowed me to use the footpaths up here. The other formats don't. That is definitely a useful part of the ride with GPS, having the drop down menu for all the different formats. What I plan to do now is join the road, the Fosseway, head towards Cullen, literally just a couple of 100 yards, then take a right hand turn and then start dropping back down off the plateau. In other words, I'll have come up one side of the main road and I'll be dropping down the other side of the main road. I'm going to head back down Shockerwick Lane into Bathford, down Morris Lane where I was recently, and I'm going to try and revisit the finish point from my By Brook video. Again, I'll put the link to that one up there. I was so cold when I finished that video, I just really wanted to get home. I was also fighting the daylight as well because I didn't have a front light, and also my camera battery ran out as well, so I do quite fancy going down there and having another look. That's the way I've just emerged from behind that last white car, and here is the Fosseway, and you may just see a triangular sign there. That's advising you of a steep drop, and that's where the modern road starts to curl around the contour. So yeah, the Roman road literally went straight through there. I'm heading along there a few 100 yards, then I'll be dropping down that way behind the hill and back into Bath that way. I dropped off Bannerdown, taking a right as I was heading towards Cullen, and it drops down very steeply, and then there's about halfway down to the By Brook, the valley, there's a sharp right hand turn, and then you almost follow this shelf along the side of the hill, and it's now dropping gradually down into Bathford. That is the Bannerdown road going up there. We may see some cars shortly heading up through the woods, and you'll sort of see there's some stonework there. So where I emerged on the Roman Fosseway would be the other side of that curve of the trees. Then the road came along where that triangular sign was, the road sign. It drops down very sharply and then it curves and uses the contour down there. So it's pretty much done what the old Fosseway did, but it's just taken the real sting out of the tail there. I don't think the word easy was in the Roman dictionary, I'm starting to discover. This is a really nice way to enter Bath. So eventually this road would actually connect onto the Bannerdown road just as it starts to drop down into Bathford, but there's a left hand turn called Morris Lane which I'm going to take before, and then it'll drop me down to my final destination, hopefully where the By Brook flows into the River Avon. You can see Bathampton in the distance there. Now back in the outskirts of Bathford, I've come along Shockerwick Lane that way, and that's the Bannerdown main road there. This is the junction, so if you wanted to go up you'd go that way, or if you wanted to carry on down you can join it just along there. I'm going to turn left here down Morris Lane, drop steeply down to the A4, take a left hand turn there under the railway, and I'll speak to you there. I've just crossed the busy A4 and the Great Western London to South Wales Railway, and this is the bridge where I finished the By Brook video. I actually did it on the footbridge running alongside it. I'm now going to see if I can just walk or even ride along a bit more of the By Brook. Here it is. obviously no canoeing beyond that point. Now I'm going to have a quick recce and see if I can get a bit further. Well, you get a fairly good view of the By Brook flowing into River Avon. Here it's clearly private property. That's where that no canoeing sign was. Someone owns this little spit of land and uses it for mooring, and just beyond the barge is where the By Brook flows into the River Avon, Bathford on Avon that way, flowing into Bath that way. Well, I've seen this footpath signposted so many times coming into Bath, and I just normally want to get home, but look at this is quite a good area view of the junction. You can just see the roof of the barge there flowing into the very shimmering River Avon. That's Sally in the woods there where the lorry's coming down. That would head out towards Bradford on Avon. Wow. Do you know, I've lived in Bath all my life. I keep saying it, but I've never been along here. I didn't realise you could get so close to the railway. I did say I'd update a little bit. Well, clearly 2020 was an unusual year to say the least. And I knew by August or September I wasn't going to be youth hosteling over the winter. I referred to it in a couple of my autumn camping videos. I was looking for new ideas. I thought it was going to involve a travel lodge. I even booked a travel lodge. The day of my visit was the day we went into lockdown 2. So I rescheduled that for middle of this month, thinking probably the worst would be over. And I got an email last week just confirming that they can no longer honour the booking. I've got a chance to either rebook it or have a refund, and this time I've just gone for the refund. I'm not quite sure when I'm gonna, first of all, be able to get to a travel lodge, and secondly, actually want to go to one. Therefore the travel lodge didn't happen, and nor did any more camping after early December. What I wasn't expecting was to enjoy just my local daily lockdown exercise as much. It's just made me explore my hometown in a way that I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. It just shows what life events can throw at you. You know, that famous John Lennon's line. But it's true, isn't it? I wouldn't have done any of this if it hadn't been for the lockdown. So the best plans, you know, sometimes just completely disrupted by life events. As I referred to earlier, today marks the start of the first stage of easing lockdown, and Audax UK are reopening their system to events of 200 up to 300 kilometres on the stage 2, I think, which is the 29th of March. So I aim to be 200 kilometre DIY fit by then. I just do not fancy calendar events whatsoever. I don't know what the restrictions are, but I think it's going to be nigh on possible to keep groups of cyclists, once they're on the road, in groups of no larger than 6. And how control is going to function, I've no idea. I'm just going to bypass the whole of that side of Audax and just stick to DIYs. That way I can plan where I want to go, when I want to go, and just it's easy to maintain social distance. So with that rough timetable in mind, I'm trying to get fit for the 29th. Last week I did a 100 kilometre ride. I included the second Fosseway ride into that, and then Thursday or Friday, whenever it was, I went out and did 150 kilometres, and I sort of felt okay. That was about 94.5 miles, and I did consider at times, should I just bump it up to an Imperial 100? And I thought, no, leave that for this week. So hopefully that's what I'm going to do this week or early part of next week. Try and get a couple more 100 miles or 150 kilometre rides in, just so I feel confident about doing a 200 once I'm able to. I'm very aware that the government timetable for easing of restrictions is very much best case scenario. It could easily change or even get reversed, so I'm not booking anything concrete. It's just ideas. What I will say is me and Linda had our first jab of the vaccine last week. That all went smoothly. Very impressed with the process. And I was discussing this with my brother on the phone yesterday. He lives in Northern Ireland, he's over in Derry, and he had his yesterday, and he said exactly the same. Very, very swift and efficient process. We both agreed that we're not going to relax our guard. We just see the vaccination as another layer of protection. It's not an instant panacea. We'll both still be taking extreme caution, and he was saying the same as me. He's not too keen on public transport or hotels for the foreseeable future. I'm sure some people will be all right with it, but me, I'm still a bit reluctant. I want possibly another winter before I consider anything like a travel lodge or a youth hostel again. Once again, today's video exploring Fosseway out of Bath. Just thank you so much for the comments and the suggestions, because that would have never occurred to me. As I said in the last video, I'm quite keen to ride the Fosseway at some stage, but I'm determined not to rush it. I don't want to bang it out as fast as I possibly can. I want to just do things like that, explore little bits, and even if like 2 miles takes me 2 or 3 hours, I'm cool with that. I think I probably will bivvy. It's going to give me the flexibility that will allow me to do that. On that note, I'm going to finish the video. I'm just really enjoying this spot overlooking the river. Let's see if I can pan round without facing the sun directly and bleaching the picture out. That's looking back down the River Avon, where the By Brook flows into it. I'll say cheerio. Thank you very much for watching. Look out for each other. Stay safe, everybody. Till next time.